Hi, Mike. Thanks. Hi, everyone. So my name is Aris. I'm CEO of WallFarm, a startup in Rome that is focused on one of the most important vertical farming components, which is, by the way, automation. And in fact, our main claim is vertical farming made easy. So why so? Basically, well, first of all, for people that are new to vertical farming, there's a little slide here on like the importance of vertical farming in the world. You can check out spoke about regarding this issue, but like since the world population grows linearly, but the food production capacity of like the worldwide arable land grows in leaps. What does it mean? Like in 1948, there has been the last big leap from Norman Boulow's Green Revolution that put the production capacity to like 10 billion people feeding possibility. We'll need another leap in another 30 years to have like another green revolution to feed the new world population, and that's where vertical farming comes into place. This for like people that are new to this. Of course, people that are in vertical farming are 100% aware of like what our mission is. What WallFarm does is easy and accessible by everyone. Why so? To be quick, vertical farming relies on hydroponics, aeroponics, most often like soil-less systems. What does it mean? That as you see on the left, the soil has the nutrients in the soil itself, these tiny letters. You give water to the soil to distill the soil itself so that the roots will eat the nutrients. In hydroponics or aeroponics, there is a water container, and you dissolve in liquid form the nutrients in the water, and then we make sure that the water is given to the roots of the plants. In the case of aerofarms, for example, it's sprayed to the roots. In hydroponic ones, the roots are submerged, but this is the way it works. So what I'm saying here is that vertical farming technically is really, really simple for everyone to a basic vertical farm. It only needs like a water container, a pump that let the water flow under the roots, and you're basically done. And the LEDs or the sunlight. What is hard though is to make sure that you get a crop, because like you can't just like put the seed and the plant will grow on their own. But you have to do a bunch of actions from the things that even the other presenters told about, so like checking the lights and everything. But a standard thing would be just like to put an LED light and run it for 18 hours per day, but it can be refined definitely. But the hardest part are to make sure that the nutrition of the water is constantly the one that is needed by the specific plant, and even more to micro components, that the pH of the water is what is needed by the plant. Otherwise, the plant will not like eat the nutrients. And even more important, since the nutrition and the pH has to be checked with pH and conductivity sensors to be adjusted, these sensors themselves need maintenance. They have to stay constantly in a storage liquid, and before you measure, you wash them into distilled water and then put them in the water to measure, and they go off calibration after 2 or 3 days. So you have to redo all the manual calibration thing. This to say that like running a vertical farm is relatively hard. It's not for everyone. That's the main challenge of becoming a vertical farming. You need to hire an expert grower to take care of your vertical farm, whether it's of small, medium size. Currently, there are water management devices. They are devices that do some of the work of managing the water, but currently they're used not as a substitute of an expert grower, but as an instrument for the expert grower to have more control on this on the system. That is what makes vertical farming not yet for everyone at small medium scale. These water management devices, for the moment, they do this thing on top that can even be improved a little bit in some of their parts, but mainly they do this, but they don't do this. They don't do the part on the bottom, like the sensor maintenance. One of the things that they don't do, actually. But that's really important because you have to do it manually, and like you hear a lot of vertical farmers that are like that say like, oh, I have problems in this nutrition, and it's basically because the sensors went off calibration or broke, because actually this is the correct way to do that. This is where WallFarm comes into the game, to change the game of vertical farming automation, to make vertical farming automation affordable for everyone at any scale. And this is why we developed LIA. It's our line of products. It's called Lean Intelligent Agriculture, and it will remove any residual complexity of vertical farming. So for the first time, you just connect the system to the vertical farm, and you program it align with the recipe that you want, or you can program it with an automated recipe, and you don't have to take care of anything until the crops, including the maintenance of the machine itself, which is a pain management devices. There's 3 modules. This one will do the analysis that I've shown you before. The central one will do the dosing of the nutrition and the pH correction, and the one on the right will let the system scale into up to 10 vertical farms. What does it mean? If you have like 10 different vertical farms with 10 different tanks of water, because maybe you want different plants, right now currently you have to buy 10 different water management devices. Where in this one, with this one, you can scale with only one system to up to 10 vertical farms. So this is our patent, one of the 3 patents that we have. This thing that makes sure that the probes are constantly maintained in the way they have to be maintained, which phase is skipped currently in the market, and it's a big problem. So this is actually replicated inside our machine, and it's patented. So the measurement is precise and doesn't need any maintenance whatsoever. Then this works like the other water management devices in terms of functionality that it delivers eventually. So it will give you a pH value and an EC value that will be more precise, though, because the probes are constantly maintained, as well as air humidity, air temperature, and water temperature. These are all things that are needed to let a vertical farm run properly. And it will communicate them to the doser to correct the systems, to the web platform, and to the smart plugs that turn on and off the heater, the HVAC, the humidifier, and so on. Then for the dosing part, what are the dosers for? As I said, the pH has to be balanced, so it connects to liquids that do that, and these are the dosers that connect to the tank of these liquids. The other patent is that like the dosers can recognize if the tanks of the liquids are running out and if they're authentic, so it can be used as sort of like Nespresso model, but for larger scale farms, basically. Yeah, that's what the doser does, takes the values and corrects them. The deviator, which is patented as well, because it will skip solenoids, will let you connect to 10 vertical farms. So as I said, that is the revolution. Like, differently from all the competition for the water management devices, the most famous one would be Blue Lab. That is event that like for of a grower, because it doesn't need maintenance or particular installation cost itself. the guys of Agrilis that have been quoted even in the first presentation have made very good research on vertical farming. Some of their numbers can show even the value of the automation. To be precise, I can share this presentation, obviously, but the annual cost for paying manual labor when doing pH and nutrition measurement is the sum of all these. So is $187 per year, which means that if that is the measurement, someone that knows about vertical farming will know the time that takes to measure, the time that takes to adjust, and the time that takes to maintain cells. So in proportion, these will be the cost for the other activities. That means that like the automation for 10,000 square foot system would be about $7,000 per year, which is one of the main constraints, of course, includes even the expertise that gives to the automation water management devices as far in the market. In WallFarm, we are a very large team with many investors, including public listed company, Wild Research Group, and venture capital, Town Food from Milan, and a team full of engineers. To give an example of one application that we did, our technology was also one of the very few licensed producer in Canada of cannabis that basically they saw our robot as a step one to solve a big problem of the Canadian cannabis industry, which is that they went too big. There we go. They went too big in the size of their vertical farm, but Canada is not Mexico. It's really cold. They have to stay in cold in big spaces that are really hard to climatize by being so cold. So they have to spray pesticides because plants grow really weak, and by growing really weak, they have to throw away a lot of produce and create isolates with the remaining one. This is one of the main reasons the application is that creating small spaces into large ones. We'll use our robot to take care of the first two parameters, and where we have again changing patterns that I've explained, and even the other parameters to automate that in Canada. This is one example, but there's millions, because what vertical farming needs the most is asset automation. So this is the vertical WallFarm's mission. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm here to help you guys.